So I want to welcome everybody on our Saturday morning power hour, as we begin to call it. This last time, I guess it got named by someone else. I thought that sounded pretty good. So we, 1 hour, and sometimes don't make it quite to an hour, but sometimes we run a few minutes over, but we like to be right at 1 hour. My name's Chris Doyle. I am from Jackson, Tennessee. And it's always fun watching people from around, I used to say from the country, and now it's become the world, because we've had people on from so many different places and so many exciting things going on in our company. So it's really fun to hear that. So, guys, as we get started this morning, I just want to tell you very quickly that I met Stephane and Claudia, and I was trying to calculate this. I'm thinking about 12 years ago. And as you may not realize, Partico is an umbrella company that owns multiple brands that we do business with, and it's pretty interesting that it's really a unique company from that standpoint. And to make a long story short, I met these guys, and they were already in the company I was a part of that was called RX, and they just welcomed us so much and helped me learn so much about what was going on here, and I really appreciated their friendship. We're not financially tied. And put that into perspective, what makes this company so different, in my opinion, is we call it the blurred line of sponsorships, where we all better together, we all work together, and they have been so gracious. They've been on my call before, and we've went through some interesting times together, and yet we're still here working together in our company to make some unique things going. So I'm just very glad that they're willing to get on with us and just share. And Claudia and Stephane, I mean, I really admire you guys. Most couples, I'm going to put it this way, when they work together, it's not always the smoothest thing, and you guys seem to make it work so well. And so thank you for being on this morning. I want to start by you just kind of talking about your journey, just for a few minutes, your background, because we got a lot of new group. Brent Palmer's son, Peyton, and Chelsea Parker, there's a few I'm calling the next gen, and I'm talking about the younger people because I'm the old guy around. I'm probably one of the oldest people on the call. And there's a lot of young people getting involved. And when they think that this is not a career or something that you really look into, I don't know that anybody goes to school and says, oh, I can't wait till I grow up and become a network marketer or a home-based business owner. I mean, you can think about that. I mean, kids want to be firemen or they want to be a doctor. I mean, none of this is wrong. It's just that we don't think about this as a direction people go. And yet these guys started, Stephane started, I didn't even know this. I don't think I forgot. I guess I knew it, but had forgotten that he's actually been involved in the industry for, I rarely have anybody that's been on as a guest that's been on in the industry longer than me. Todd Rowland has been on with me, and he's been in the business about 9 months more, so I guess that counts. But when he gets right down to it, I've never had anybody that's been in a decade longer than me, especially since they're younger than me. So, Stephane, with that, why don't you kind of tell us your journey? At least tell us your background and how you ended up here and got started. So we'll leave it. I'm gonna turn it to you.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's always fun to be, working with you alongside. We've been through many ups and downs and all kinds of things, and that's where these bonds create. So I was actually, let me just go back for a minute before network marketing, because I was a shy guy. I was always in the back of the room, hiding from everybody. I had just a few friends in school. I was avoiding all the trips outside the school, when you go on excursions and things. I was really the guy, introvert, shy. And one day my father gave me a book. It was called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And it changed my life. It took me a year to read it because I didn't like to read. I was not even good in school. But eventually I found that I got passionate about this idea that you can accomplish whatever you want in life. And that's when my world opened and I saw that, wow, I can be whatever I want. And I started to dream, traveling the world, having a great life, impacting people's, and I didn't know what I was going to do. But I got fascinated by that concept. And I remember a day we're in school and the teacher gave us a test, and it was a like aptitude test, and it would give us ideas of what kind of careers we would be good at in life. Well, I've read this book and a couple more by that time. So I passed the test. I received the results. I open the document and I see the list of all the careers, and I look on the right because I had big dreams by that time. I knew I wanted to earn a lot of money. So I look at the biggest income, and it was plumber. And I thought, I looked around the room and I looked at everybody. They were all, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And I thought, this is crazy, because people will determine what they want to do in life based on a test. I have nothing against plumbers, but that was not my dream. None of that. And I said, that was like a breakthrough moment for me. That's a time where I thought, you know what I want to do? I want to become successful, and I want to come back and teach people how to create success. That was the first thought that came to my mind. Then fast forward 2 years later, I'm walking in the kitchen. I pass it behind my father, and he's drawing circles on a piece of paper in front of two of our, siblings. And I'm there, long hair, anyway, not the style to do business at all. But I'm listening to him and I think, this is crazy. What is this thing? So when they left, I asked my father, and he said, oh, this is how it works. The multiplication, you help people who help people who help people. And I thought, wow, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It connects my dream of showing people how to create success, but also creating success for myself. I mean, it just made total sense. And it took like, I don't know, a few months, something like that. I'm in school. I met Claudia. We start dating, and I tell her about this project, and we decided, we were a 19, 20-year-old, we decided to create our own MLM company. Imagine, you're 19, 20-year-old. But you know what? We had big dreams. There was nothing stopping us. We were going to achieve whatever we want in life. And that's true. That's the problem that I find later in life, is once you've had, sometimes many failures, you carry these chains with all the doubts, all the challenges, and it starts to cloud your possibilities, because you start to believe that, oh, it's going to be harder than you think. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. You come up with all these excuses, but we didn't have any at that time. We're young.
I think that's the thing, is that we were young, and when you're young, you don't see the problems ahead of you. You don't see the confidence that you have when you're 19 is not the same as the confidence you have when you're 40 if you didn't do the work. I mean, like, a lot of 40 years old are very confident because they did the work, right? But at 19, like, the sky was the limit. Nothing was going to stop us. We knew where we're going. But when you get older, then you're like, oh, people are going to judge me. I'm not the right person for this. This isn't for me. So I guess that we had that going on. We were young.
Yeah. So I had this concept, this idea that instead of creating products, we would come up with a way to drive traffic into existing merchants, existing stores. And every time someone would buy, we would get a percentage of their sales. Now, how do you calculate all of this? How do you make this happen? How do you connect through computer systems and whatever? So the idea came with the MasterCard International, like when we swipe a card, they get a percentage of the sales. Why wouldn't we get a second percentage, which would be ours, and we would split that through the network? So we actually showed up at the National Bank of Canada, and we came out. I mean, there's been a process. I'm not sharing everything, but we've been in a process where we've been able to come out of there with the first co-branded credit card in Canada with a MasterCard. And it was a multi-level credit card. So everybody would get a card, they would shop at participating merchants, and they would get a percentage split through the network. So every time someone spends money on gas, restaurants, clothing, whatever, you would make money. So that was a crazy, crazy idea, but we did that, 20-year-old. And so from that point, what happened is, you have all these dreams, all these goals, and every time I was shooting for a goal, I would get it. I needed money to finance that company. I found the money. I needed $350,000. Found it. I mean, everything I wanted, I got. And one day, like, I'm coming back from work every day, and I'm telling Claudia, it's too easy. this is not my story. This is too easy. He says, why do you say that? I said, well, I read all these books and you hear about Walt Disney, Henry Ford, like all these amazing stories from rags to riches, and they've been through all the challenges and everything. And I said, my story is I wanted something, I got it. Like, this is pretty boring. And she was telling me, like, what did you say?
I was like, we were at the beginning of our life, like really at the beginning. I was actually pregnant with our first daughter when all of this was going on. And I was just tell him, like, be grateful. We have a beautiful house. We have a magnificent company that's doing very well and it's growing. We have a baby coming home. Like, why aren't you happy? Just enjoy the ride. You're one of the lucky ones that gets to have this ride. Just enjoy and be grateful. And he was like, something's not right. And he kept saying that over and over.
Yeah, it's not my story. So guess what happened? A few years go by, and then we lost everything. And then we decided to join another, like an MLM company, because we closed our company down. We joined an MLM company called Excel Communication. That company went down. We joined another one. It went down. We joined, and that went on for 16 years. 16 years, working part-time, trying to build this MLM dream. Nothing's working. And then we finally joined this company that, Chris talked about, RX. So we joined that company, but here's what happened. I remember one day we're driving the car. Our daughter is sitting in the back seat. We have our 3 daughters, but the one in the middle, she's looking in the distance and our house is over there. So we're going towards our house. And she said, this is crazy that we used to live there. And the reason she said that, even though we still live there, is because we were teaching our kids that you can dream of where you want to be and talk as if it had already happened. And that touched my heart, because she was showing, as a little girl, she was showing us that this is our past, although it was our present, but she was already believing that we were going to live in a more beautiful house. And that night when we put them to bed, I went to each one of them and I made them a promise. They were asleep already. And the promise was, Daddy's going to make it happen. I'm going to make it happen. I know I've been struggling. Things have been not the way we thought, but I'm going to make it happen. And it's my birthday. I'm with Claudia. We go to the spa. We come back. And then I said, Claudia, what happened to me? What happened? I was like, everything I wanted, I was getting. Anytime I dreamed of something, I made it happen. What happened? What changed? And she said, yeah, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to keep talking.
So he couldn't remember, and he was like, actually, Tim asked him, like, you need to find out what was the moment in your life that you decided that it was going to be hard. Network marketing was going to be hard for you. And
think about that for you too. Like, if you've been in the business and you're not getting the results and you're seeing everybody getting successful, like, there's a moment you decided that it was going to be hard, that it was going to take time. That's one of the things my sponsor told me.
So I looked at him and I just laughed. I was like, you seriously don't know what happened? And he was like, no, why? Do you know? And I was like, geez, for 5 consecutive years, you told me that it was too easy. So you got the slap in the face and now it's hard. So you got to try to find a way to change your mindset and go back to making it easy. You decided that it was too easy. So the universe, God, whatever you believe in, made it happen. You had a story.
I wanted a better story. Well, I got it. I mean, struggling for 16 years. And then she told me, she knew all this time. And I thought, my gosh. So that's when I said to Claudia, I said, well, watch out, I'm back. And that's when we started to climb the ranks in RX. We started to, bring in South Korea, open markets, started to build in Europe. And our team just exploded around the world, thousands of people. And so it's been an incredible journey. But I would say for us, there's been 3 phases. And you can write this down, because this is something that you're going to learn as you progress in your business. 3 things that are going to, are critical to your success. Number 1, my phase 1 was personal development. I needed to believe in myself. I needed to invest, going to events, build up my belief. All right. Get rid of those chains. That's number 1. And very often you're going to find a leader teaching you very specific things, either in personal development or the other 2 areas, because that's where their breakthrough came. If they got a breakthrough in personal development, most of their training is on personal development, right? So that was one thing. That, I had it. That was fine. Second, that's when I met Tim Sells, our sponsor. It was skills. Even though I could jump up and down and sing the company song and be super happy and, we're better together, that's not gonna make me effective in the business. I got to learn some skills. I got to learn how to generate leads. I need to know how to invite, how to present, how to do my follow-up, get people enrolled, and train. I got to learn those things. And Tim showed me how to do that. As a matter of fact, when I got on Tim's training, I was listening to his audio CDs, and that's how I learned to speak English. I didn't know how to speak English, so I was plugging in those. We had them everywhere. It was like Claudia was going crazy with Tim. She couldn't hear his voice anymore. He was everywhere.
Just so you guys understand how bad it was, our kids knew Tim before they knew anything else. There was no lullaby in the car or in the house. There was no lullaby. It was Tim Sells nonstop. And he didn't understand what a word he was saying. So he would put it on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. Our kids, when they met Tim Sells for the first time, they were like, this is like Madonna. They were like, oh my God, Tim Sells touched me. That's how much Tim Sells was in our household.
Yeah. So anyway, I learned to speak English through listening to his CDs. Anyway, so that's what I did. And so I called leads over and over and over. I was on the phone nonstop. And there were times where it was just crazy, because I remember there's one day I got my partner who's listening to my calls, because I'm pretty bad with English. And so he's correcting me after the call. So I'm reading a script. But then I was late. I was we parked the boat. I was with my brother. We run back home. I get on the phone. I call my partner. I say, hey, let's call this lady. I'm just anyway. So call the lady, and I said, I'm sorry. What did I say? I said, I'm sorry. I'm retarded. Not late. I'm retarded. I was on the beach with my brother. Beach, not bitch. Anyway, finally, the girl, she hung up. There was no way this was going on. Anyway, my partner was laughing. He couldn't believe what I just said. But that's what happened, is you learn. But I just kept going. I learned the skills, practice, became really good, very effective, and then started to get results. And we began to sponsor people. And then what happened is our team was growing, but it was mostly me recruiting. We got some people that got on board and started to recruit, but we didn't have duplication. And that's when Claudia, that's where we get to the 3rd phase. All right. So we talked personal development. Second is really developing the skills. And the 3rd one was building systems. When you have systems, it's explosion. This is where you get duplication on your teams. Now, Claudia hosted weight loss groups for 4 years, every single month, a new group. So she would do that. That's how we built in Quebec. We started to build in Europe. And we just created systems for our team to plug into. Now we have the system of growth. And that's why we're everybody's so lined up on this and promoting it, because we know the power of systems. And so that was, anyway, Chris, I went on, shared more than you wanted probably, but anyway, that's kind of our backstory for, where we come from.
I think your story is great. I wanted you to share that. I didn't know where you would go with it, but I want people, because I think everybody thinks when they see a leader that they just got here without any problems, and they don't know that there's ups and downs. And a lot of times, because you guys have been at the #1 power ranker in the world, I mean, people don't understand power ranking. It has nothing to do with income right now, because I mean, the income stream, but that's about your growth. And so we've both been on those seesaws where we've been in the very top, and that's part of business. But I think I want to hit on something you mentioned. You said personal development. I mean, I don't think people realize, I mean, you've got to work on your dreams. People become a doctor, and my brother had 2 doctorate degrees, and people don't understand the number of years it took to get 2 PhDs. And that didn't pay anything. He spent time working, and didn't pay him until he got out and worked to practice. But they don't want to work a few hours a week trying to develop themselves to get better. And they wonder why their skill sets are not very good. It's because they're not working on what I think is the most important skill set of all, yourself. Because the rest of it will work. I've always said, if you've got the why and you've got the skill set, you'll figure the rest of it out. So going forward, why don't you talk about what you think's going on? I mean, you and I have been around the industry, you longer than me. So about the difference, and you said the company and what we've got, I think we're in a really unique place. I mean, I just think we really are. And people say, well, you hype different things. I said, yeah, I get excited because I want to buy into where we're at, but yet certain things happen and things go to a different way. And I'm just really excited about where the company's going right now.
Yeah, I think it's like a unicorn right now. This is the situation we're in. I remember, like, for probably, I don't know, 10 years, we've been talking about, we're just about to hit momentum. We're just about to hit momentum. And every company says they're pre-momentum. But I never experienced it, right? It was, okay, there was growth. There was things happening. It was okay. But we kept hearing about sometimes like a company comes into the marketplace and they just blow up. And we've seen it when I joined RX years ago. Then there were companies that were growing so much faster, and it just started. And like Visalis, that was one of them that was growing super fast. They're out of business. But there were those companies that came, and we kind of envied them. And we looked at them and said, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait for us to live that. But we didn't know if we were going to live that, because many companies grow, and some are sustainable, but they never experience this momentum. Well, fortunately enough, probably in your lifetime, you get to live it once, and this is happening right now. We're seeing it. Like, teams are growing super fast. And so when that happens, you can't stand still. I mean, you gotta pedal. You gotta be out there and follow that wave. And so there's no time to think. There's no time to, learn skills. Well, yeah, you gotta, if you need to develop skills, well, develop them quick. All right. And the way you develop them quick is you go and apply them super quickly. I get out there and talk to people.
So I thought, well, that's good to her.
So that's critical, because right now we're living it, and it's not fluff. It's not us telling you, oh, the company is momentum. You're living it. You know what's happening. You see the numbers on the conference call. You see people at convention and the growth of the convention. You see the rank advancement, like 460,000 rank advancements. I mean, 400,000. This is insane. And we see companies, some of the companies are going down. We're going up. We're attracting leaders, but most importantly, it's not just leaders that we're attracting. It's people who've never done the business before. They plug into the system and they get results. I welcome our friend earlier, Mark Montgomery, here. Mark has been with us for over a decade. I mean, he was there. He was coming up to events, showing up all the time. And I thought, well, he's so nice. Like, he's there, he's plugged in, he's consuming the products, he's talking to a few people. Nothing's really going on, right? But he was there. He was, just plugging in. Then he gets on the system of growth. Like, Claudia and I were not on the system of growth. We were doing our own thing. And we have Europe we're working with, but we're not plugged into the system of growth. And then this guy, he's like 70 customers. And what are we teaching you that you're doing? It says, nothing that you guys are teaching me. I'm doing this on the system of growth. I said, what's this system of growth? And he just started to blow up, and his team starts to grow, and he's converting people into the business. So when you have something that duplicates, even if the leaders are not really super involved, then you know you've got something. You got your hands on something. So for us, and you see the investments of the company, they invest in marketing, like, you know, top quality executive people who are super qualified at every single level, IT, operations. Now we got science. I mean, on every department. So it's not like the company is growing from inside, where someone who's at customer service, rank advanced, you know, to a higher title. That's okay. You're going to have some of those. But if you want to go fast, what you do is you hire people who have talent, who have competences, put them in those, you know, places, and help you expand the company much faster. And that's what's happening. So I see it from every angle, from the field, from the corporate team, like everywhere it's happening. So yeah, we are excited. This is a once in a lifetime. I don't know. Is it going to happen 2 times? Hopefully, but this is happening right now, and we're a part of it.
Yeah, we're in a really good position right now. And as I tell people all the time, I have actually, you said this is your first time. I actually was with a company that experienced the growth, but wasn't prepared for it, to be perfectly honest. And the company did not go long term, because what you just said, this company's hiring internal good people and getting them. That company I was a part of, I won't complain because I made a lot of money, but it didn't set up to go long term. But we felt that momentum. And you know what did it? It wasn't called the system of growth, but it was simply something that was duplicatable. It was a system, and then we called it push play. That's what it was called, push play. What does that mean? It was nothing but back then, by the way, it was VHS tapes and video CDs. And we taught people how to share with that video. And it was a system that people could duplicate. And the key to everything is, and I know Tim has said that, and you know, Tim Sales is his personal sponsor. And by the way, and Tim is my upline. He's not my personal sponsor, but he's not 2 spots from me. So the thing is that people need to understand that Tim was always about systems. Everything he did is about a system. And we talked about momentum. When people say, so I know we know we're in momentum because we've been around a while, and people are like, well, they always talk about, you say everybody talks about it. So why don't we talk a little bit about the momentum, because we've watched that a little bit. I mean, you see things happening around the world. You're probably way more diversified than me, because my business is virtually US and a couple other countries, but you've teams everywhere.
Yeah, I
Talk about the disappointments. Talk about the disappointments, because I mean, people don't. Everybody thinks when they hear you and they hear chairperson, you know, on the partners council every year, they think you never had any adversity with this company.
Yeah, we've had many, and
yeah, with this company, we've had so much. I mean, like, we've been through a lot. Like he said, we open a lot of markets, but a lot of those markets, there's nobody left. Like, it goes up and then something happens and it goes down, and you have to rebuild it. So
the way it works, I mean, when you see the growth, is you grow, but then there's the real growth, a stability of leaders who are loyal, long-term. That's growing like this. It's not growing as fast as your current growth. And so sometimes it goes down, but it continues to grow. But there's a floor, fortunately, because otherwise it would go down to 0. And so for us, we've experienced that. Like, for example, there's a time, like a few years ago, it was in 2020. We brought this company from Indonesia called Shannon, and they had cosmetics. So we brought the company over to our company here. So we absorbed them. They were doing $48 million in sales. There was 400,000 brand partners in that company. We inherited, like, we brought this company over, and then we look at our genealogy, and overnight we had 400,000 people in our downline that just showed up. We're like, oh, a celebration, finally. And it was crazy, the volume, anyway, it was insane. It was during COVID. things happened. The management teams didn't get to meet. There was all kinds of challenges. That lasted a couple months. And a couple of months later, that team fell apart. And we lost 400,000 brand partners. So when someone says, oh, I lost, a person, I don't know if I'm going to continue, I'm discouraged, she was doing well. I'm like, how many? One. Okay. So I have some pity, I can understand, but when you lose 400,000 people, it's a different story. So how do you keep going? Well, I think the reason you keep going, and that's happened to, I remember a lady, I'm in the car, she's calling me, she says, oh, Stephane, I think I'm going to quit because the company sends me my my subscription order, but I forgot to change it. I didn't want those products. Now I have to return them. It's complicated. I'm calling it quit. And I thought, okay, how something like that happened? And there's two reasons. Reason number one is either the person doesn't have a goal big enough to keep them going, right? Because maybe her goal was to make, I don't know, $100, $200 extra per month. But the trouble of getting the products she didn't want, sending them back, it's maybe too much work for only $100 or $200 a month. Okay, so maybe her goal was not big enough. Or the second reason that someone's going to quit is because they don't believe that it's going to work. So if the goal is big, you're not going to quit. Something happens. No way. I mean, if this lady, what her goal, she told me, she said, I want to quit my job, but she didn't believe that she was going to quit her job. Because quite frankly, would you quit over a subscription order that you forgot to change if you know you're going to quit your career and live full time off of this? No, that's not going to take you out. So basically, those are the two reasons. So when you're wondering, like, should I continue? I'm discouraged. Things. It's those two things. The goal is not big enough, or you don't believe it's going to happen. That's when you need to plug into the system. You need to listen to stories. You get on the IPA calls. You hear all these stories, and just know that it is going to happen eventually. So when we lost that 400,000 downline, we thought, I mean, what else are we going to do? Right? What else? What else brings us freedom, quality of life, traveling, having fun, impacting other people's lives? Let's just go rebuild. Let's build another line.
That's why it took 16 years before, because we knew we had the right vehicle. We knew network marketing was going to get us what we wanted. We just didn't find the way that it would work for us. We weren't ready for it. So that's the other thing. If you're not actually ready to do the work, all of the work, especially on yourself, like Chris said, that's the first thing you have to do is work on yourself. Because we actually had somebody on our team that asked on one of our meetings, why is it so hard to keep people in network marketing? Why is it so hard for them to succeed? And it's because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to face themselves. They don't want to look in the mirror and say, I'm not doing the work. They have to confront their own selves. And not everybody wants to do that. When you become a doctor, you have the degree. So if somebody tells you that they don't like you, you don't care. If somebody says that you're not giving them the service, they don't care. They have the paper that says that they did the work. But when you're in network marketing, if somebody says something, it's like a personal attack. You have no paper to back you up to tell you that you're good at what you're doing. So it's confronting yourself. So if you don't do the work, it's not fun to confront yourself. It's not fun. So you're just going to quit.
And there's really no penalty for quitting here. I mean, let's face it, the penalty is you don't get your why. Because people always hear about my success stories in other businesses, but they don't ever remember that I had a company that I had borrowed almost $500,000 to build, and it was never made a dime. But I couldn't quit because I owed the bank $460,000. So I had to continue. Are they going to come get my kids? I always said we had them mortgaged as well. We had the house mortgage. So your house is on the line. You don't quit so easily. But here, you just cancel a subscription or you keep using product, but you don't do any of the effort to working with. People won't not work marketing. not network marketing. I mean, I've had a guy quote that all the time, and I've laughed at it many times because that's true. So their fit is so easy because they get what they're after. And I think that's more key than anything we could teach here is the key. And you talked about that so much. And I will tell you this, guys, when we talk about when momentum, and people always want to say, what do you know about momentum? You and I don't know exactly where y'all rank in power rankings right now, but you and I have been in the top 10 for so many years in a row. We were always there. And guys, I looked at my power ranking. I think it's kind of embarrassing but I told Brent Palmer this. I said, we're not in true momentum because we kept talking about momentum. And I said, we will be in momentum because I'm honestly semi-retired. I do this on Saturday and I'm helping my daughter, but I'm enjoying what we've done over the years in collecting. Yet the bottom line was I still was seeing my power ranking hold pretty steady. Guys, if you haven't looked at my numbers lately, funny part is somebody said, you're not disappointed you're not in the top power rankers. I said, no, my paychecks have gone up by 20% because of, and I can name some of the people on this call that have made that happen. My paychecks are up, but my power ranking is down. That's a good, that don't disappoint you. I said, I'd rather be higher, but here's the point.
Yeah.
I came for the paycheck. I didn't come for their accolades. And the paycheck.
We feel the same. We feel the same.
I don't care about
but it's okay because I mean it's other people's time to shine, right? And so
that
I
is
like
so
that.
important as well.
So I've always told people because I mean, of course, we've been through several things that, and I remember at the beginning it was ourselves competing with Steve Swartz, who was in the game, and it was like he was advancing, we were advancing, and it was back and forth. But what I found is if you stick in the game and you keep putting in the time and investing in your business, talking to people, your time is coming. I'm telling you, your time is coming. Never forget that. So for us, yes, we've been very high on the top power ranking. I think 2 years or 3 years ago, we had in the first top 20, I think it was like 6 or 7 people. So we have #1 power ranker in the world, #2 power ranker in the world, and then 7, 11.
It was 5. I think it
Five.
was 5.
Anyway, so we had many in the world. And now we have, I think there's 1 or 2 in the top like 10 in the world that are on our team. But the rest, it's not in our team. And it's okay. It's okay because we know that right now it's other people's time to shine, to make it happen. Our time is coming back. I know that. Why? Because we're working, we're building, we're recruiting, we're getting more people. So yes, we will rank, like power ranking will come back, but that's okay. And like Chris said, we're not really looking anymore for the recognition as much as before. I mean, for us.
To be real, like I'd rather not be on the top power, but my team is. So I know that my business is doing good and I want them to shine so I could actually retire. That's the whole point of it, right? It's a legacy industry. So I want everybody, if they shine me out, I'm so happy. Go shine, be there, take all the space and be the best self you can be. And I will be the first one to applaud and be there to cheer you on. So that's the whole point of it. So power ranking, we did it once. It's okay if we don't go back. I mean, I'm happy with that.
I want to add something to what you just said because I think it's so interesting. We were in Destin, of course, last year in this spring, and there's huge, 1,000 people. And I did have a short little segment I did for a few seconds and not big. And somebody said, you're not really a keynote speaker. And I'm like, that's okay. It seemed like it bothered you. I'm like, no, I just counted 4 people that just finished speaking and they're on my team. And there's nothing more fulfilling.
Yeah, exactly.
And I laughed because and she's not on here, but I've become no longer Chris Doyle, who people come say they want to meet and have a picture with. I'm going to tell a funny story because someone came up at a table. And because I've made a lot of money in the industry, people say, can I have my picture made with them? I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, somebody came up to the table and asked to have their picture made. I stood up. It wasn't me they were asking. They wanted a picture of my daughter who has become a kind of, because of a product. They know she's become a top, she's grown. And it was great for me though. one, it was my daughter.
Yeah.
But the point is it was someone from my team, and it was like, and they said, "Do I know you?" And I shook hands. I'm like, "Yeah, I've done this a little while." I didn't matter. Somebody
Yeah.
said, "Your feelings." I said, "Those." My daughter loved it because she wanted to give me a hard time. But the point you want to make is that you want your team. If you're a person that's all about you, you're really not going to be very good at this. I hate to say this. This is a business about we. It's about them. And yeah, we all love to be active. All of us love it. I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, we enjoy being praised. But the truth of the matter is that what I came for was what I've kind of reached that pinnacle. And by the way, when y'all talked about ups and downs, didn't mean your income went away. Didn't mean you were broke. It meant you just wasn't as high as you'd been, like a real business.
Yeah.
Peak years, down years. Same thing when I was in the blue jean business. Man, I had years I've talked about, I couldn't even imagine how much money we were making. And then there was time, but that's business.
Yeah.
A real business, not some kind of, when people try to say that this is not real, I'm like, are you kidding me? It's just like any other business I had. It's just different. And there's the risk factor is not so high. That's the difference. You don't have a high risk factor. So give us your top 3 things you would tell someone that's, if they're brand new here, because a lot of people are seasoned. If they're not brand new, kind of give us what you call Claudia and Stephane's 3 tips to make it, maybe 5 tips, whatever it wants to be. But you give us personal development, but what do you talk about is the staying power?
Yeah, well, I would think that first is evaluate where you are. If you look at your motivation, like, for some people, there are, not putting in the work. Why aren't they putting in the work? Well, maybe it's because they are not connected to the system. They don't know, like they're not sure. So I would say the first thing is definitely stay plugged in. And for us, it made a big difference when there was a convention, there was a big event, we would invest. I mean, sometimes it was on the credit card. We didn't have the money, but we invested. For us, we looked at it as a business investment, where here, the beauty of this is we don't have to borrow money that much, right? Like when you had $400,000 in debts and it was crazy. Here it's, maybe $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, maybe a little bit more. We have more on our credit cards, but you need to invest in that because that's the foundation. And there's nothing more impactful than an event. This is gonna just propel you more than anything else. You get on webinars, yes, good. You talk to people, you go to small events locally, great. But a big event, huge impact. So I would say plug into those because you're gonna get this turbocharge. And even the best cell phone in the world needs a charge once in a while, right? So you need that. And we always tell people, if you are not getting the results, you need the event. If you're getting the results, then the event needs you. You need to show up for your people. So that would be one thing, is definitely plug, invest in yourself, keep on growing. Just know that it will happen. It's coming. If you're in that direction, it's going to happen. And so I would say then, yes, develop the skills. All right, that's super important. I told you about that earlier, but you need to become confident. And you become confident when you know what you're doing and you're doing it well. All right, and so you need to improve on that. Now, some of us think, oh, it's going to take so much time to learn how to talk to people, text message or call them. Well, this is something you can learn, and it's not going to be like a neuroscientist who need to learn very complex things. This is pretty simple. It's, what do you say? And if they say that objection or that question, what do you say? You learn a few of those. You practice until I can wake you up in the middle of the night, shake you up and say, this is a pyramid scheme. And you can stand up and give me your answer, right there. So you need to be prepared. And if you do that, it's going to take just a few weeks, maybe a few months. And for the rest of your life, it. It's part of you. And then you can do the business anywhere, anytime. So invest in yourself, yes. Develop the skills, plug into the system. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's a simple business.
And I guess that the most important thing is to remember why you decided to join the business. What made you say yes? Because we tend to forget about it and abandon ship because we forgot about the why we decided to do this. So for me, it's always like, make sure you know why, what was the main goal. If it was a dream, is it just a dream or is it a goal? Because those are two different things, because a dream can stay a dream and it won't come true. But a goal, if you turn your dream into a goal, then you can make a system and know what steps to take. And always remember that we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So it doesn't matter if it's a goal, don't exaggerate the length that it would take, but don't under like score. Don't say I'm going to buy a $10,000 house mansion in a month,
10,000.
a $10 million mansion in a month, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless you win the lottery. But if you say, I want to buy this house by the time I'm like 10 years older, and these are the steps I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to have the money ready for 10 years, that's a reasonable goal. So make sure that your dreams become a goal, and your goal, divide that goal in little steps, and always look at the goal. I'm doing this and I'm going through this because this is where I'm going. So know where you're going and then ask yourself, if this is not the way, if this is not the vehicle for me to get to that goal, what other vehicle is going to permit me to get to that goal? And just do the list. Is it getting another job going to get me that goal faster? Or is me learning how to do this job, these skills, is it going to make me have this goal faster?
And one important thing you mentioned, many of us, as we're starting and we're starting to get some results, or even we're not yet getting the results we want, one important thing is you need to have confidence in yourself. And how do you do that? Instead of setting very high goals, set small goals that you can accomplish, then you can keep your words to yourself. Because that's a big problem, is we say, I want to be officer by convention. Well, you're a team lead. So the first thing you should do, instead of shooting for officer, shoot for team lead again. Like, do it one more time. You've been able to do team lead. You earn $100. You can earn another $100. So set small goals and you say, okay, I'm going to shoot for that in the next 3 weeks. Then it's something you control. It's something you're able to do. It's something you believe. You go and do it. Guess what happens when you do that? You're now senior team lead. You're going to repeat senior team lead. You're going to repeat it as many times as you can before it's going to bump you up to the next one. So if you do the small goals, guess what's going to happen? When Sharon looks at herself, she's going to say, I'm someone who sets a goal and accomplish it. You're going to start to believe that you are the person who can say something and make it happen. And you do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Guess what's happening? You're now starting to rank and grow. So forget the big goals, set goals you can control and start to believe in yourself. When you do that, watch out. You're going to make it happen.
And I think a lot of people don't, you mentioned the IPA calls, income producing activity. So give yourself credit for doing just basically, it doesn't have to be how much money did I make today, as much as it is that I do the activity. And I saw Chelsea Parker's one of my co-hosts, and she's a trainer at my daughter's gym. If you could go to the gym and work out one day and work really hard and get in shape, then I'd be in shape. But they know I'm not in shape. So here's the thing. It takes consistency. And I'm just more consistent with business because those goals are important to me. And I think that's what people think. You're going to join it in 90 days. They're like, oh, those people, why am I not rich? No, it's business. It takes time and activity. Any last parting words, guys? We appreciate you getting on. I mean, it's hard for me to believe. I looked up, I'm like, we have been going almost an hour. So we got 4 more minutes here before we're going an hour. I'm like, goodness. I mean, it's good when I'm getting text messages and my phone is just vibrating because people are like, this is awesome. This is learn. Any parting things you want to add to people? I mean, I know we're in a great things. I really appreciate y'all getting on. I know that this is like ain't easy. I know you got some of your team on here, but still, You know, you could have done that without getting up on Saturday morning and getting ready. That's why I said, Stephane, if you get Claudia to get on with you, I didn't want to push her to do this. So women don't like to get on this call. My wife's still laying in bed, I'm sure. So tell us your parting thoughts on where we are and where we're headed. I mean, I know you've seen leadership in companies, and we've both been impressed with leaders we've worked with, but I really see some. You called it the unicorn, and I hate, people hate that word sometimes, but I call it unicorn also because I'm like, we're a unique company. There's nothing out like this out there because we're kind of a blended society of people all coming together.
The beautiful thing is you can all be who you are. That's a very different thing than in many companies where you need to show up a certain way, you need to behave a certain way. I mean, it's tricky to climb the ranks. And there's this ego that comes in the way. Not that there's no ego. We all have some degree of ego, but it doesn't destroy our business like I've seen many times in other companies. So it feels home. It feels like, you know, everybody belongs here. So be you, and you're going to start to attract people who feel just like you. And that's the beauty here is oftentimes when I was, you know, starting to create results, I was looking at other leaders and I say, I need to be like them. No, be yourself. What you'll find is if you try to be someone else, you're going to attract people on your team that don't fit. It just doesn't fit. And yourself, you don't feel good with the team. So be yourself. You're going to attract more of you, and you're going to love your team. You're going to hang out with them. It's going to be fun because it's people just like you. So make sure you do that. Don't, you know, hesitate. You have your own personality. You have your own style, and that's the beauty in this company is we can be who we want to be. They just accept us the way we are. So go shine. Enjoy your time here, and please, when you see us at the convention, come over. Let's take picture. We want to, you know, shake your hand, and we just really appreciate you. And let's build this thing together. We want more of you on stage and climbing the ranks and living your dream.
Yeah, I'm excited about PXP this year because we know that the size will be something we haven't experienced in several years. I mean, Destin was as big as our convention. That's just a regional event. And right now, I don't know what the numbers are going to be. But guys, if you haven't got your ticket to PXP, I would really, this will be something that could really improve your belief level if you're still struggling to believe, can I do this? And by the way, don't think that you're any different than anybody else. I'm a guy that got in this as a conventional business owner, and then I began to wonder, could I do this? And the things they said was they kept instilling on me to continue to do that. So somebody raised their hand. Chelsea, you want to ask a question? Because you raised your hand, or you're just clapping. I'm not sure that's what it was. If you do, unmute yourself and ask your question.
No, I just wanted to add something real quick. I don't know why I'm nervous to talk. I guess a lot of people are on here, but my chest is getting red, so I'm trying to zip it up. But I wanted to say something. Kristen's not on here, so I can say this. Something really cool that happened. I'm trying to think if it was this week or later last week, but me and Kristen were sitting at the gym that she bought that I train at, and she brought me into this business, and she looked at me and she was like, we're doing it. And I was like, well, I know we're doing it. You know, we're gaining momentum. And she was like, no, you don't understand. We're doing it. And I was like, okay. And she was like, listen to what happened to me last night. She got her old vision board out that she originally had made, like when she first started, and she had realized that she had started marking off all of these things. Like she's doing it like all these visions. And now she's having to create new visions. And her new visions are even more like bigger and better. And she's teaching me to dream bigger and better. And it's just really cool because right now Kristen's in Punta Cana, and that's Chris's daughter. And she's with her daughter, and she was able to take her daughter and her husband on the trip with her and get those tickets for free. I mean, like she won her whole family a trip. So that's the beauty of this business. And I really want to give Kristen a shout out because, I mean, how cool is it to hear someone sit there? You hear people making their vision boards, but how cool is it for someone to sit there and start marking off their dreams that are happening? So that's what I wanted to share.
That's great, Chelsea. Thank you. By the way, and we know massive action, and I'm going to brag on Chelsea. We ran a little contest this last month, and Chelsea brought 7 new brand partners qualified brand partners onto her team in the past 30 days.
Wow.
What changed? Chelsea will sit there and say she got better. No, she didn't. She had action. That the difference is that people will say, my business is not moving, but they're not doing the things it takes. And the system of growth will do that. Stephane and Claudia, thank you so much again for this Saturday. I'll do my best to make this end in 1 hour, and we are literally right on schedule to get that done. So I'm gonna stop the recording.